Hello, captive audience. My name is Matthew Degenhardt, and I'm a local filmmaker and university student living in Regina. Like many, if not all of you, I've been asked by Gerald to talk to you today about myself as an artist and the works I created this semester. Before I start, I'd like to thank you for attending my talk, as you are so required for this class, and also thanks in advance to Gerald for the grade I'll be getting on this assignment. I began as I'm sure most people begin, screaming at the top of my lungs covered in birth smoothie while a weird dude with a stethoscope severs my food tube and audaciously assumes my gender. I got my first camera a few years later and began making short videos for projects in school. In high school, I was very much interested in exploring my creative limits and raising the bar in terms of the quality of work expected by my teachers.
Matthew, this is real. Finish peeing and close the door, or I'm going to die.
I can't, Dennis! You interrupted me, and now I can't finish.
So naturally, I was very well liked and even looked up to by my peers. I think. I have a passion for writing and telling stories that I discovered when writing and directing my own theater productions in my last 2 years of high school. With a background in theater, I find that live performance can be very evocative and engaging, as no two performances are the same. I try to translate the uniqueness of live performance into my works when possible, especially my experimental films this semester. For the purposes of this talk, I'll only be discussing the films I created for this course, though I've worked on several other experimental works I'm quite proud of for my Film 300 class with Mike Rollo. This is in part due to the shortness of the time I'm allotted to speak, but also to university policy, which prohibits me from exhibiting work I've created in one class for another taken in the same semester. 300 films are, however, completely up for grabs for fourth years. Heavy sigh. Oops, I don't think I was supposed to read that out loud. So up first is my projecting failure assignment. Originally what I had wanted to do for this assignment was record an 8mm projector playing a Mighty Mouse cartoon and adjust the shutter speed on my camera to create these varying degrees of flickering in the projection. As I do though, the projector fails mechanically and dies, figuratively, live in front of the camera. Its death happens remarkably at the same time in which a mouse in the cartoon dies on an operating table, something I couldn't recreate if I tried. The result is the forming of a symbolic bond between form, which is the projector, and content, the Mighty Mouse cartoon, that is performed live and cannot be recreated. I'm still bummed about my projector though. Its hollow corpse is currently on display in my living room. Yes, Madam X. I was given the Madam X painting for my portrait project, and my film kind of explores the themes of timelessness, death, and decay through repetition, color inversion, and film grain. I was inspired to go this route by the woman's black dress, wedding ring, and distant off-screen stare. Unfortunately for my partner in the theater department, who had to perform her monologue following my film, I was the only one who seemed to interpret the painting this way. Sorry, Billy. I called my 16mm film dry, trying to combine the words dry and eye, as the floating eye figure kind of goes bloodshot throughout the film when watching Gerald's botched project. Looking at it now, I realize it looks like it says Dr. Eye, but you live and you learn. I animated the entire film, frame by frame, using pens and needles to draw and scratch on the film, which was painstakingly tedious. I also spliced each section of film myself and ran it through my 16mm projector, as I wanted the entire film to play live rather than piece it together digitally. The industrial theme of the stock footage serves as a symbol of the manual processes and labor of my manipulation of the film, just as the figure of the eye serves as a symbol of both the viewer's gaze and the gaze of the camera itself. That was really deep, I'm sorry. Finally, we come to my city symphonies. I'll be honest, I kind of slept on these videos for the majority of the semester, but the 6 that I did upload are solid attempts at exploring the course content in an inventive way. Like for this one, I taped my phone to the wiper blade of my 91 Ford, which is now sitting at the scrapyard outside of Regina. Rest in peace. This is the video that made me never want to post another city symphony. I thought I would be clever and mask each element of the frame. 9 hours later, sitting with this 30-second clip in After Effects, I really started to question my motives. So yeah, all in all, I enjoyed making the City Symphonies that I did upload. I don't think I'm going to talk about each of them as I explain my methods for each in the descriptions on YouTube, so I'll just use the rest as nice backdrops for the rest of my talk. One of the biggest setbacks I think we all faced this semester was the remote delivery of our classes. The pandemic hasn't been kind to anyone, and I think as film production students we really suffered from a lack of hands-on and collaborative work. I found that nearing the end of the term, it became harder and harder for me to stay focused on my computer screen. In fact, it hurt to do so. The amount of screen time and blue light that we as students have been exposed to in the last few months is extremely unhealthy. When your healthy sleeping and eating patterns become non-existent, it's very difficult to stay motivated enough to complete the astronomical amount of readings, screenings, forum posts, and assignments that have been asked of us this COVID semester. Anyways, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Let's get back on track. Another, more personal challenge I faced recently was having to self-isolate after developing symptoms of the coronavirus. For much of last week, my time was spent waiting in line at the drive-through testing site in Regina, only to be turned away at closing time. When I finally did get tested, I was forced to wait days for my result and was not able to see a doctor for the real cause of my COVID symptoms. A horrible, horrible case of tonsillitis. Needless to say, this experience has been physically and mentally taxing, and I find that my motivation at this point in the term is as non-existent as my healthy sleeping and eating patterns. If I'm being honest, I don't actually know if I've overcome either of these setbacks yet. In fact, I fear that with remote delivery of classes next semester, I'll end up in the same boat I'm in right now. What I have realized, however, is that with COVID restrictions and remote classes, I am forced to think more out of box on how to deliver my projects with the same standards as I have in the past. While the pandemic has closed many doors for us film students this year, I think that a door has been opened that allows us to be more creative with the resources and time available to us. So I think that's it for me. Thank you again, captive audience, for being forced to listen to me. Thank you to Gerald for making this a requirement of the course so that I could speak about my works and my methods, and I look forward to hearing the rest of your talks.